like I said, it's not any particular lifestyle. It's just, and just so we're clear, okay? People say, "Oh, the other day," and they were murdered this lady that something about a big crash, and they chased them back. Those are, it's real about how, there's people that are evil, and they're like, well, yeah, what is, what about forgiveness? And people were calling, a lot of Christians calling into this radio and saying, yeah, it's that you forgive. The guy that here in Vegas, it was I think like 8 years or whatever, and the guy was in court, and the mom said, don't give him the death penalty. She asked the prosecution to hold the and she said, I forgive you for killing my son. And the guy was like, I'm so sorry, blah, blah, blah. And the prosecution listened, and they didn't give him the death penalty. They gave him, I think, life in prison or something. So they were talking about forgiveness. Are inherently good. There was a guy that was a Christian, supposedly, that called and said, yeah, people are good. It's not true. People they're born good. No, they're not. Those then they laugh about it. Right? Or how about a 2-year-old, mine. Share your toys. No, it's mine. I never taught Sebastian to be like that, yet he's done it. No, hey, you better get it together, dude, because you better start sharing. Otherwise, I'm going to take it away. Okay. I never taught him, but he does it. We're born with that sin nature. And just so we're clear, evil doesn't really exist. There's nothing really evil. Evil is you guys know that, right? That's all. Evil is the absence of good. It's like cold really doesn't exist. It really doesn't. It's just the absence. Darkness doesn't really exist. It's just the absence of light. That's all it is. So when people say evil, what do you mean by evil? Do you mean people that are not good? There's a lot of people that are not good. Everybody. God says, for all have strayed. For all. Everybody has fallen short of God. Everybody. Right? James here is talking about sinners. Lifestyle of wickedness. Having once in your lives identified with Jesus Christ as Savior, right? And then you forget. You just do away with it. It's not for me, whatever. It doesn't really fit with my lifestyle. It's too complicated. It's too time. Whatever the case. You 1 John 2:19. John 2:19. They went out really of us. For if they had been of us, they would all not of us. I think about is Judas. God, Jesus Christ immediately made him treasurer. He's like, you take care of the money, knowing the type of person that he was. And I say that he knew who he was because he knew who everybody else was. Oh, and Israelite, he called him, right? And Philip's like, do I know you? You know, how do you know that? What are you talking about? Oh yeah, he says, I saw you under that tree when you were praying earlier today. Dude was like, there was nobody there. How does he know that? He knows us. Judas was given every single opportunity in the world. At the Last Supper, he sat him at honor at his right hand. John was on the other side, right? The disciple that Jesus loved was on the left side. Judas was seated at the place of honor. Peter, the future leader of the church, the one that gave this awesome evangelistic message on the day of Pentecost that converted over 5,000 people in teaching, was seated somewhere else. And he's asking John, ask him who's going to betray him. Ask him. Who is it? And John's like this, Jesus? Is it me? And Jesus is like, well, it's the one that I'm going to dip the sop and the bread in the sop with. And then he just immediately takes the bread. It can't be Judas. It's if Judas, we takes off. Brethren. A bunch of people come to mind for me. Look at the truth, and this is what James is saying. Death, danger of second death. Everybody's in danger of death. Everybody's going to die. We're all going to die. I mean, maybe if the Lord comes, and there's the rapture of the church, we won't taste death. But for the most part, everybody dies. Doesn't matter how strong, how healthy, how, whatever. It doesn't matter. You're going to die, right? So here he's talking about danger of death. He's talking about the second death, the spiritual death, right? So James is talking about sinners. Look at the category of what a sinner is. Look at. I want you to think about this, okay? Genesis 13:13. Sodom and Gomorrah. You guys remember that story? Sodom and Gomorrah. People call Vegas Sodom and Gomorrah. A girl told me one time, I know you've told you the story. I went to go visit my sister in California. This was before I was a Christian. A few years before I was a Christian. My sister that passed away. To go visit her in the bank. So I get there, and I'm not a Christian. I was heavy into doing. And so I was probably stoned when I went. I don't remember, but it's more than likely. So I get there, and it's kind of branch, kind of like it's not a bank. It was more like offices. And so I get there, and there's this receptionist, right? It's this one girl. Young girl. Hey, how you doing? Is Rosella here? And she's like, yeah, I think she might have went to lunch. Can you want to leave a message? I'm like, just tell her brother's here. She's like, oh. So I guess she pages her or whatever, and then she looks. She's like, I've heard so many good things about you. Oh, cool. Oh, cool. Yeah. I'm thinking to myself, she's never mentioned you, right? But I don't want to be rude. And then she goes, yeah, are you the one that lives in Las Vegas? And I'm like, yeah. She kind of stares at me. isn't that like Sodom and Gomorrah? And I'm like, no, it's not. It's like a regular city. Yeah, but all the sin. And I'm like, oh, Christian. So I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of sin there. I'm like, dude, it's so fun. You've never been there? You've never been? It's like, no, I don't want to go. Dude, I'm like, you're missing out. It's like party town. And she's like her face is just like, I'm just kidding. I don't really go out. I just work a lot. She's like, oh. I go, are you a Christian? She goes, yeah, I'm a Christian. I'm like, oh, that's why you think it's Sodom and Gomorrah. Anyways, so my sister, here, no, I'll be back. I'll call her later. Okay, left. People think this is Sodom and Gomorrah. It's nowhere near Sodom and Gomorrah. The people in Sodom and Gomorrah, talks about in Genesis 13, the men were all homosexuals. That's the sin. People that you have in your house out so we can spend a little time with them. He's like, no, have my daughter. I don't know what kind of dad that dude was. Lot. He was twisted. That dude was twisted. Have my daughters. When I first read that, I'm like, what is wrong with this guy? Have my daughters? Whatever. Right? There's a reason why he was the way he was. But these guys wanted to have sex with the angels. That's a sinner. You know who else is a sinner? Somebody that lies, somebody that steals, somebody that uses God's name in vain. You know, it's not just the homosexuals or the people that are serial rapists or the pedophiles. Or no. God puts everybody in the same category. In the same exact category. Liars, thieves, murderers, adulterers. The sexually perverse. He puts everybody in the same category. We're all sinners. That's the reason why I like the way of the Master so much. Because when they preach to people, when they share the gospel with people, they don't necessarily have to say anything to anybody about their lifestyle. They just say, you're a sinner. You've broken God's law and you're going to be judged. There was a guy one time that went up on, they have like what they call a soapbox. And so the preacher stands and, preaches to people. And I guess when you're up on the stage, it gives you more authority. But the guy was on a soapbox, and then he had a soapbox, wanted to confront him. So this guy goes up there, and he's one of those numbers, right? And so he goes up, he's ready for whatever they say about his lifestyle. He's going to jump on it. The dude never even mentioned it. Have you ever stolen? Have you ever used God's name in vain? Have you ever lusted? And that was it. See the guy's frustration, like, when is he going to bring it up? When is he going to bring up the fact that I'm gay? It's not necessary, because we're all sinners. We're all sinners. Now, I know that from what I see in the scriptures, there's levels of punishment, but I think it's going to be worse for people that are in the church. I think the level of punishment is going to be worse for people that know. Right? Because that's what you usually get from somebody. Well, you knew you shouldn't have done that. You knew you shouldn't. Why did you do it? Right? Like if my kids, if they mess up one time, I'll be like, cool. All right, don't do it again. That's it. Second time, then it gets serious. I told you not to do it again. Bam! Right? Slap right across the face. Don't you roll your eyes at me. Right? Is he here? He's not here. Don't you roll your eyes at me. And then he did it again, and I just... Wham! His mom was like, ah! That's what he gets for rolling his eyes. I told him not to do it. I don't mess around. Right? Why? Because I had warned him already. Poor guy I mentioned. Anyways, Psalm 25 talks about sinners. Proverbs. There's